Okay, tell us about your relationship with computers.
I hate computers. I hate them.
Oh.
Well, I don't really understand computers very well, technology and I don't draw on the computer. I hand draw and hand letter my stuff. I find that so many cartoonists now who work on the computer, the stuff to me looks too slick, too clean, too sanitary. So I really don't like a lot of the computer rendered art. I want to see the human hand, but I have become, linked with the rest of the world because I've discovered if you're not on Facebook, you're not on the web, you might as well not exist for most people anymore. So I just sent out a Facebook request for nasty, naughty German words for my story that I'm working on. Joel and H sent me Strumpf, which sounds to me like something vile you do to a Smurf. I've just been asked to Facebook friend Jorge Alberto Nogueira Taveras. Who the heck is that?
You got me.
Why does this person actually know me or know my work?
Well, it's a brave new world.
Jorge Alberto Nogueira Taveras.
Is he a friend requesting you?
He's a friend requesting me on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, who the hell are you?
So you kind of have to. Are you selective about your friends, or do you just let anyone be your friend on Facebook?
Well, I read their profile, and if they're comics people, then I friend them.
Okay. He's
in Brazil, and it's like, why does he? It's all in Portuguese. Why am I friending? I have friended people who are like Portuguese and Japanese and speak Arabic, and it's like, why? I can't read their postings. And let's see, the music. I don't know any of the bands he's talking about. Oh, The Cure. He likes The Cure. Yeah, that's something. Sergei Rachmaninoff. Oh, Tom Waits.
Oh, Rachmaninoff. Well, you know Rachmaninoff.
Well, I've heard of him. Tom Waits, that's a good sign. Oh, he's into mail art. Fluxus poetry. So, I don't know, fans. What do you think? Should I friend this guy? Send me a message on Facebook and tell me if I should friend Mr. Jorge Alberto Nogueira Taveras. And I apologize for my pronunciation of Portuguese or lack thereof. I read a lot of history, mostly military history, although some political history, colonial history, religious history. That's the comedy section.
Oh, okay. So this is devoted entirely to comedy here.
Mostly comedy.
Oh,
mostly comedy and books that I have to read yet.
Right.
More comedy books down there. Comic books.
Yes, of course.
Comic books, graphic novels. This is the French section.
Right.
And we have American Undergrounds, British, alternative comics, newspaper, periodicals. This is the Napoleonic section. I am an avid book reader. I'm also an avid book collector. I have many books that I haven't actually read yet. I like books. I think partially I'm overcompensating for the fact that when I was young I couldn't actually read books because of my dyslexia. I did develop into an avid bookworm, mostly because of my fascination with history. My father was a history professor and we had always had lots of books, history books in the house, and so I read avidly. Of course I had to do a lot of reading for my wargaming hobby, and I was able to overcome my problems with reading fairly well. A friend of mine once came to visit me with his two boys, and one of the young son was wandering around the place, and then he came back to his father and asked where the children's book section was. He thought he was in a bookstore. So I'm a bit old-fashioned. I grew up before the internet, before Googling. So many of the books I have are mostly for reference. I have a lot of photo reference books and uniform reference, historical reference books, which I actually do find work for me better than Googling. I've tried Googling things on the internet and I haven't been able to find, but I can find them in my books. Buddha on the Road was 6 issues, came out. There would have been more, except the publisher folded. But the Buddha on the Road was basically my idea of a fun adventure comic, which was about a guy who was trying to kill God. I'd been reading all about a bunch of books about the history of Christianity, and I was fascinated by the demonology, by the cult of the saints, and all the other baggage around the Catholic Church, the medieval pre-Reformation Catholic Church. So generally, after I've read enough about something, I have to do something in comics about it. So Boat on the Road was my idea of a fun adventure ride. Because I'd seen lots of people who'd done adaptations of other cultures' religions and beliefs and turned them into like sci-fi fantasy adventure stories, and I thought, well, why doesn't anybody do anything about Christianity? There's so much rich material there. And I wasn't about to do anything about Islam, well, mostly because I really didn't know much about it. I mean, Christianity, even though I was not I've grown up basically as an atheist, I still live in a society where much of our cultural heritage is Christian, and it's around, so that's what I drew from. And like I say, I was going to continue the series, but the publisher folded in order to devote time and money into making babies.
Do you think the days of the kind of digest comic are numbered? Everything seems to be published in book form now, or graphic novel form, and the monthly comic seems to be going by the wayside. Or maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, I think you're right. Particularly for alternative cartoonists, I think most of them have decided, or their publishers have decided, that the comic shops are becoming they're no longer a viable place, which is so ironic because alternative comics wouldn't exist without comic shops. But now many comic shops have become, and comic distributors have become hostile to alternative comics, and I think people like Fantagraphics probably do more business through bookstores now, or Amazon, than they do through comic shops. I mean, there are comic shops I've been to in the Lower Mainland where you're hard-pressed to actually find the comic books. Even the latest Palookaville by Seth, I remember interviewing Seth with Robin McConnell several years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now, and he was still doing the floppies because he wanted to have that connection with the readers, because it takes so long to put out a graphic novel. He wanted to be able to get something to the readers every few months. Even his last Palookaville is now on a graphic novel format. Well, the graphic novel now has reached a level of sophistication with packaging, printing, and design, and I think that's what publishers have to do in order to give the reader an experience they can't get off the web. You're competing with the web, and something like the old floppy comic book is simply too easy to scan and put on the web, and it really, as a reading experience, it isn't much different than reading it off a floppy. But if you have an oversized graphic novel with really nice design work and printing, and that is something, it becomes an art object. It becomes more collectible.
That fetish object again.
It becomes, like I say, once technology gets redundant, it becomes an art form.